I'm MTV Mac and I ride with old men on bikes.
Hey folks, so you're relatively new into mountain biking and you're contemplating a pilgrimage to the Mecca that is Whistler Bike Park. If you're looking for observations and tips from someone who has recently been there and is an intermediate or beginner mountain biker themselves, look no further. This video is for you. Okay, first observation, hot or not? Does Whistler Mountain Bike Park live up to the hype? Yes, it does. It is well worth the pilgrimage. This question may seem obvious to some, but for me, I was on the fence. Was I going to enjoy park life? Video seems to show extremes, big wide jump tracks, or narrow skinny double black technical madness. Was there going to be something fun and still intermediate beginner friendly for someone who mostly rides trails at a less extreme mountain? My conclusion from 2 days with a pass is yes, there is in fact trails for these types of riders. So what makes it great? Whistler is a big mountain, like really big. The park trails are super well designed, and unless you live on the size of a similarly sized mountain, you're likely to find riding here more extreme and challenging. All of this right beside the fabulous amenities that are Whistler Village. It's truly fantastic. So, what's the bad news? It is full of people. I'm here in the shoulder season. The conditions are still pretty sweet with moisture on the dirt. Still a lot of speed bumps and stuff. But as you saw in that opening clip, ton of people coming down the tracks. There's just like people everywhere. Was grateful I was there before Crankworx and the massive number of riders that would show up and chew up the trail even more. But it is really like Disneyland for mountain bikers. So tons of people. You're not going to be finding peace in nature, so to speak. But yeah, I was happy going early in the season because I know it's a much busier at Crankworx and during the summer season. So I think that's a call every rider kind of needs to make themselves. Yes, you should definitely go. But plan ahead and choose your time of year wisely for how many crowds you can deal with. So tip one, don't be embarrassed to ride the green tech. Actually, some of the green tech trails are really quite fun and interesting. I was started with blues on my first day, thinking like, oh, I'm too good for greens. That was probably a mistake. Tip two, and it's kind of like, don't be embarrassed to ride green trails, but slightly different. Respect the trails. Ride with caution. Whistler's steep. You're going to be moving fast. It is easy to take a bail. I did take a bail. I might post that video. But yeah, ride with caution. It's a steep mountain. Third, you are probably underbiked. If you're a beginner intermediate rider, you typically ride trail, all mountain. I'm on my trusty Rocky Mountain Instinct. It's a 140 by 140 trail bike. Yeah, I can see the real benefits of renting a bike. Second day, I rented a coach, which was awesome. I'll talk about that in a next video potentially as well. But yeah, I think he was on a 200 downhill bike. I was on a 140 bike. Makes a huge difference. And you know, I'm not sad I brought my own bike. It was a great learning experience, great bonding experience. But yeah, put a lot of wear on those brakes and I was underbiked. So consider renting. The other thing I would say is that if you do bring your own bike, really look hard at how your suspension's set up. I usually ride in a pretty firm stance. Yeah, that's a mistake on Whistler. You want that stuff all the way open. You want to take the most advantage of your suspension as you possibly can. So if you're bringing your own ride, check out the suspension, check out the tiny little print on the back of your shock and fork. Make sure that's dialed and open and you're getting as much out of it as you possibly can. That's going to enhance your chances of having a good time on Whistler Mountain in the bike park. All right, next up, let's check out this bike park map. You definitely want to get one of these. It is your friend when you're riding the Whistler Bike Park. And there's a bunch of useful information on here I'm going to call out because, like me, you might just ignore it on your first ride. Okay, on the left-hand side there, where you got all the trails listed, it's stacked from easiest to hardest, starting from the middle of that progression matrix. This is super important. Not all greens are created equal. Not all blue are created equal. If you're riding the blues closer to the blacks, they're probably like blacks or double blacks where you're from. And likewise with the greens as well. Probably closer to a blue from where you're from. So keep that in mind. Take a look at that. And as you're getting warmed up and finding your way around this wonderful bike park, I would start out with the easier trails, especially if you're new to riding park and you're an intermediate or beginner mountain biker like myself. The other thing that's on here that's helpful, and it's kind of glib, you hear people say it all the time, but pre-ride, re-ride, free ride, it's really true. You know, you can only travel one way on the Whistler Bike Park. You will potentially get your pass pulled if you're going the wrong direction, so keep that in mind. But your first ride, new to a trail network, definitely take it easy. Learn the trail, come back, re-ride it, and then if you want to give her. But that transition and just learning the trails will help keep you safe from harm. And given the technicality of the trails here at Whistler Bike Park, I would highly recommend embracing that mantra. Okay, this one might get me in some trouble with some folks. Jump skills required. You're going to see this a lot. Now, I can't speak to all the trails, and it's definitely going to be true on some trails, but on like Lower Beeline, all of the green, blue trails where you see this in the Fitzsimmons zone, required is not the word that I would use. Yes, there's jumps. Yes, there's tabletops. But if you're controlling your speed, you can roll them. These are not gap jumps that require you to clear them to continue on the trail. So that was kind of a bummer for me to learn in my second day. I might have tried more of the flow jump trails and ridden less of the tech if I had known that word required was being used pretty loosely. Don't get me wrong, if you take them at full speed and launch it, you will catch air on those tabletops. But if you manage your speed appropriately, you can roll them in these easier trails at the Fitzsimmons zone. So take that with a grain of salt. Obviously, pre-ride, re-ride, free ride. Keep yourself safe. And respect the trails, which was tip number 1. All right. As I mentioned earlier in the video, I did catch a coach on the second day. I had a wipeout at the end of my first day. I had exhausted the green and blue tech trails that were open at the time. And so I decided, while I was waiting in line for a pass and there was nobody waiting for the bike school lineup, just got chatting to somebody there, and there was a coach available for a private lesson in the afternoon, so I decided to give that a whirl. Huge benefit, helped really improve my riding. Took me through a couple of things I walked on the first day, walked me through the techniques for successfully clearing them. Totally recommend it. Even though the riding I do is less vertical than Whistler on the day-to-day, the skills that I learned at Whistler definitely have helped my day-to-day riding, which was fantastic. And of course, Tip number 9. Let's have fun, y'all. You're on the west coast of Canada. You're in the beautiful Whistler Bike Park. It is definitely worth making the trip. I will be posting more footage of the trip shortly, including my out the front door, over the bars incident. No harm, no foul, thankfully. Yeah. Questions about Whistler? Drop them in the comments and I'll get back to you. Have a great day. Thanks for tuning in.